Hello. Okay. Good afternoon. So many things have been happening all around the world. The climate we are in now is bewildering. At the same time, if you are a child of God, if you are a walking Hebrew Israelite, it shouldn't be bewildering to you anymore. It should not be surprising or fearful. Because even though it says in the scriptures, the elect will be fearful, everybody will be afraid what God is going to do. You can see the waters are troubled. He will shake the world. I believe one of the prophets says, are you also angry with the waters? Now, waters in the scriptures can mean countries and peoples. So, the image you're seeing before you are peoples, countries, and God shaking. And it says, when I am coming, these things will happen. Geopolitics is full of drama out there. And you've seen evidence, or you've seen activities in China and Europe and Africa right now. Even America, you've seen their action there. You've seen that all the aids they're giving you, it's like Africans are waking up. God is shaking the waters, shaking Africans out of sleep. Even though they are not awoken to the Hebrew Israelite thoughts yet, they are not awoken to the fact that most of them in that the thought came to me today when I was in the bath. The thought came to me. I won't share the thought here now, but our folk, our brethren in Africa, mind you, the land of Israel, Judah, Jerusalem, is sitting on the tectonic plate of Africa. Israel is on Africa's tectonic plate, Northeast Africa. So it is indeed in Africa. And you, children of Zion, and you listen to me, you are Hebrew Israelite. Now, your people are suffering in Africa, just as you are suffering in the West. Right. Now, what is happening to them in Africa now is what has happened. The purpose is to wake them up, to open their eyes, to juggle them out of slumber. I believe, because I've been thinking about this Chinese and this coronavirus situation. Chinese is sending doctors all around the world, whereas in their own country they are not giving their own doctors equipment or masks to use. I believe over 21 million people died in China. But the world, they publish about 3,000 or 4,000 with 400 dead. No. Over like almost 22 million telephone handset disappeared from service in China. You know, China is a censored environment. China is heavily censored, and for 22 million telephones and 22 million users to disappear from the data, from the grid, you know that coronavirus claim that 4,000 dead is rubbish. China did not disclose the true picture of coronavirus. And coronavirus, this case coronavirus emanates from that Wuhan laboratory. The laboratory is owned by the Western actors, e.g. George Soros own the facility. That facility that the virus leaked out from, George Soros owned it. Yeah, I said it. George Soros owned that facility. So China is doing the bidding of the West, not the bidding of the Western government or politicians who are on the lower grade of the pyramid, but the elite, the ruling elite, the real rulers. They that call themselves Illuminati. Everything China is doing in Africa now, where did they learn this behavior? This discrimination of Africans, projecting on others the very act they are doing. Now they are projecting on Africa. They put the face of Africa, trying to connect the stigma of the coronavirus on the Africans, saying Africans brought it into their country. See how they're doing it. Now these Africans that they throw out of their homes, hotels, and the students roaming the streets, some of them will end up disappearing because they will not survive on the street for long. When they walk on the street, you will see policemen telling them they cannot stand, they cannot enter any shop, they cannot. I mean, they are turning back from the hospital pregnant African women. See, what they are learning from the West, they do it in their own style. They don't even know. Even the West, we blacks can use the hospital, but China, the way they are treating Africans, see, they learn racism from the whites, from the West, but they are taking their own racism to another level. There is a payback coming. There is a payback coming for China. See, these are godless people. These are lawless people. These are lawless heathen. Now, I'm going to read the prayer of the 3 Hebrew Israelites. See, we are going through fire. This is hell for us. This is hell for Africans. This is hell for Africans. The Israelites are in Africa, hell for them. They might not be taken by boat to America, because you cannot take all the Israelites to America. Because those who are in Africa right now, they suffered their own slavery first, before Judah went to slavery, before Judah even went into Babylonian captivity. Israel, northern Israel, suffered slavery first. I believe those Israel today are in Africa now. Those Israel today are in Africa. In fact, the thought the thought that came into me in the bathroom, and I said I won't mention. I just feel the release to say it now. The thought is, the Hamites living in Africa now are fewer than Israelites. Israelite population in Africa far exceed Hamites because of the success of the Islam, the Arabs. Arabs successfully whiting out the Ishmaelite. Now Turkish and Greek kids calling themselves Arabs. Population of Hamites. Well, Ethiopia, Kush, Eritrea, Tanzania, Kenya, those countries in East Africa, the population is very low. Their population compared to West Africa. In Nigeria, in West Africa, some Hamites are mixed among us. Now, it's so complicated to explain the composition, the demography of the landscape. But in a nutshell, Israelites. These people do not know that they are Israelites. Still, they don't know that they are Israelites. Few of them are waking up to this reality. Israelites are more than Hamites in the land of Africa today. Israelites are more, because are more than Hamites in Africa today. That's the thought that came to me when I was showering. It just came, boom. That's the thought. Now, I'm going to read the prayer. Then I'm going to show you videos of what is happening in Africa, what China is doing. See, what they are doing is they're taking from the playbook of the West, but they put Chinese twist to it. But it is too late for them. they're doing their own thing right at the same time that the destroyer of the Gentiles is at the door. China think it can take over when Esau is going down. What evil thought enter into Chinese? What evil thought enter into them thinking that they can rule or colonize Africa? It is not given to them. Listen, there's nothing. You will see the videos I will post. It will line up with what I'm saying now. Listen, Esau is going down. God is breaking their bread basket. God is breaking their staff of bread. Meaning, God is crashing their economy. God is taking away their power, which is money. It is economy, finance. God is taking away their money and their economic power. That is the effect of coronavirus. It's breaking the economic might of the West. That is what it means by breaking their staff of bread. Before Rome went down, this happened to them. This happened to them. The coin they were using, the currency of that day, went from silver, from gold to lead. They were using lead as currency. That's how bad it was in Roman wars in those days. This is the work of God all around the world. Now, the Father said, or the scripture says, 2/3 of my people are going to die. They're going to die because they just don't get it. They are not listening. They are stubborn people, sadist children. You see African leaders, stupid, sadist people. I mean, African leaders are gone. The gates are languishing in Africa. The gates of my people are languishing in Africa. They are dogs, they are pastors that do not back. Look at the youth and the citizens of African nations are rising up, and their politicians and their government like this. Why? They are in the pocket of the global elite. Even that one, that bald head that just lift the COVID-19 is also in the pocket of the global elite. It's also in the pocket of the global elite. He took loan. From World Bank and IMF. Those who do not take loan, you see, they will take coronavirus. Now they are hitting Lagos and Abuja and the north with coronavirus. A lot of people are dying in Kano, in the north of Nigeria. Unknown disease are killing them now. Why? They invite Chinese doctors into the country. Nigerian doctors are one of the best in the world. Nigerian doctors are some of the best in the world. Nigerian doctors, they have a cure for coronavirus. Southerners, I mean, the northerners, They are gone. They have to be killed. They say those ones are gone. They are true. Those Islam is they are gone. Most of them in the north, they are Levites. The middle belt, in the middle belt and the north, like Borno, Maiduguri, Plateau. Middle belt includes Dendal, Benue State. These are Levite tribes. Ondo State, some Levites are there too. But the Levites who are into Islam, they are gone. They refuse to be educated. They do not follow the Southwest in education. They prefer some to be rich or to be educated, and the rest follow like hard. I'm not expressing myself very well, but that's not the point. That's not the point of my message. I'll read the prayer of the 3 Israelite children that was cast into the fire. Now we are in the fire. Now the fire is intensified right now. They say bow. They said they will not bow. These are the prayer of the 3 Hebrew Israelites. The songs of the 3 holy children. This is a book after Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, and it's before Susanna. I'll just read the prayer of the Hebrew children. That's Daniel, Azariah, and his brethren. Blessed thou, O Adonai, power of our fathers. Thy name is worthy to be praised and glorified forever. More. For thou art righteous in all the things that thou hast done to us. Yea, true all thy works. Thy ways are right, and all thy judgments true. In all the things that thou hast brought upon us and upon the holy city of our fathers, even Jerusalem, thou hast executed true judgment, for according to true judgment and judgment, according to truth and judgment, didst thou bring all these things upon us because of our sins. If a non-Nigerian is the president of Nigeria, is that not judgment of God? Is that not judgment upon a country if a foreigner is ruling you? If the food that you grow in your country are not eaten by you but eaten by Europeans, is that not a judgment of God, as was written in the law? Numbers, Exodus, Deuteronomy, all the curses of that book of the law are upon Africans today, especially those on the west coast, those on the Nile coast, the Niger River coast. The curses on them. The curses are on them. Just as it is on our brethren in the United States of America, in South America, in the islands. The curses are on them, but different curses play out upon them because they are in the land. They are in the land of their enemy, or the land which their enemy take over. They are in the land of the enemy, so different curses will play out on them. Different curses play out on them. In the United States of America, some of the curses in Deuteronomy 28 is not playing out. It's not playing out on you. Yes, you are gone down. You are incarcerated. You are denied this. You are denied that. Financial. In Africa, they still have some semblance. They still have the land. Listen, they have the land, everything, but they are not enjoying their land in Africa, in West Africa. They are not. They are not. Guess what percentage of the revenue generated in Lagos State? The most prosperous state in Nigeria. Guess what percentage of the money of the revenue they generated remain in their hand or stay in their hand? 5%. 5%. The rest go to the federal government. And the federal government will give to the colonial master their share. The north that do not produce anything, the north that does not contribute to the Commonwealth of Nigeria, eat most of it. Eat most of it. Listen, you our brothers. I am in Europe, but I listen to the statements of our brothers in the United States of America. Most of the statement is so ignorant. It's so ignorant, to say the least. It's great you receive revelation from God. Yahweh of hosts, he is jealous for his people. You have got revelation, you have got, and you're preaching. Be careful how you preach. Your statement hurt people in Africa who know that they are Israelites, because you don't know the demography. You don't know the demography. You don't know the demographic distribution of Africa. You don't know the politics. You are speaking in ignorance most of the time. I listen to you most of it. Actually, I listen to most of your video most of the time. I wake up, listen to your videos. I listen to it all the time. Some brothers are well researched, but some on the street, most of they speak ignorantly. If you don't know, don't say. Don't talk much about what you don't know. Only stick to what you know by research. And if you do research you do in your library, you know it's not true. Not all of them is factual. Not all this It's factual. You know that. I am going to bring out a video. I am researching. I am doing a study on history of the Hebrews and books before books of the early 1900, like 1818 and downwards, 1818, 17. So I'm reading on such books. History of the Jews in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, what really happened to them. That's how we know that the crusade was a crusade against the black Jews. The crusade was just a crusade against the black Jews, and they finished off in Jerusalem. It's just a black Jew in Europe. The crusade is about black Jews in Europe. That's what. And the bubonic plague is about killing off the blacks in Europe. So if you do research on crusade and all the bubonic plague and all the, you go to your library now, all you read there is lie. Close to factual truth is in old books. Older books, not books edited in 1900, in 20th century, in the 21st century. Those books are useless books. And continue. For we have sinned and committed iniquity, departing from thee. In all these things have we trespassed, not obeyed thy commandments, nor kept them, neither done as thou hast commanded us, that it might go well with us. Wherefore, all that thou hast brought upon us, and everything that thou hast done to us, thou hast done it in true judgment. If you have gone down today, in fact, we are living our judgment that was passed. We have been here before. We have been here before. Just as every rain that is coming down goes back up and recycles. Nothing is wasted on earth. Nothing. Every plant that dies goes back into the system and is regenerated. The plants come back too. Animals come back too. Everything is regenerated. Nothing is wasted. Plants come back. Animals come back. Everything. Insects that die are born again into the ecosystem. The fish that die today are coming back again into the ecosystem. And thou didst deliver us into the hands of lawless nations, enemies, most hateful forsakers, and to an unjust king, and most wicked in all the world. Talking about Babylonians. But today, Europeans, the Westerners, the Caucasians are ruling the world today. In fact, the worst kingdom, the most advanced kingdom, yes, but the worst kingdom, the most lawless kingdom is currently and is going out. is currently going out, but they are not going out without a fight. And now we cannot open our mouths. We are become a shame and reproach to thy servant and to them that worship thee. Yet deliver us not up wholly for thy name's sake. Deliver us not up wholly for thy name's sake, neither disannul thou thy covenant, and cause not thy mercy to depart from us, for thy beloved Abraham's sake, for thy servant Isaac's sake, and for thy holy Israel's sake. That's Jacob, to whom thou hast spoken and promised that thou wouldest multiply their seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand that layeth upon the shore. For we, O Adonai, are become less than any nation, and be kept under this day in all the world because of our sin. Neither is there at this time prince or prophet or leader or burnt offering or sacrifice or oblation or incense or place of sacrifice before thee to find mercy. Nevertheless, in a contrite heart and a humble spirit, let us be accepted, like as in the burnt offering of rams, bullocks, and like as in 10,000s of fat lambs. So let our sacrifice be in thy sight this day, and grant that we may wholly go after thee. Grant that we may wholly go after thee. Listen, some of you might miss that statement. Grant that we may wholly go after thee, for they shall not be confounded that put their trust. You see, you cannot serve God or worship God if God does not want you to serve Him and worship Him. Those who do not believe or receive God or want to serve God, that's how God made them. That's how God wired their brain. God wired them up. They just cannot get it. They cannot see it, even though it's in front of them, wearing sequins, shining dresses, shining dresses, or standing in front of you, wearing neon lights. They still will not see it because that's not how their brain is wired. If your brain is wired to fear God, to love God, to praise God, to worship God that you do not see, it is God that made you. So grant us, that means make us wholly turn back to you. It's a prayer. Make us wholly turn back to you. Make us, so when you pray, say, God, make me serve you. Make me turn back to you. Create in me a right spirit. David says, recreate in me, put a new spirit in me, take away the foul spirit, take away the stony heart, take away from me the kings or the warped mind, take away from me warped thinking, warped mind. It is God. If you are doing good, it's God that makes you do good. If you are doing wrong, it's God that wire you to do so. And now we follow thee with all our heart. We fear thee and seek thy face. Put us not to shame, but deal with us after thy loving kindness and according to the multitude of thy mercy. Deliver us also according to thy marvelous works, and give glory to thy name, O Adonai, and let all them that do thy all them that do thy servant hurt be ashamed. I mean, all those who are troubling or oppressing your servant. The servant of the Lord is Israel. The servant of the Lord is Israel. There's no other servant. He has not the Father. Allahaya Yahweh has never called any other nation his servant. Never. And let them be confounded in all their powers and might, and let their strength be broken. We are seeing the strength of the beast that's currently ruling this world today. Their strength is gradually their strength is leaking and breaking, and God is breaking their power as we speak right now. And let them know that thou art Adonai, the one holy, Allahaya, the glorious, over all the earth. And the king's servants that put them in. Okay, so that's the 21. The prayer ends in verse 21 there. So I read from verse 2 to 21. Songs of Solomon, songs of the three holy children. So I'll end this video now, and then I'll continue with the videos I said I promised to show you guys.
Where will the whole Western world be without Africa? Our cocoa, our timber, our gold, our diamonds, our platinum, our whatever, everything you are is us. I am not saying it, it's a fact. And in return for all of this, what have we got? Nothing. Anti-personnel indoctrination against ourselves. If you go and cook your horrible diseases like AIDS, you say it is us. You brought us tuberculosis. We didn't have this big cough until white people came here. In exchange for Africa giving Europe 500 solid years of our people, I mean not Europe, the Western world, of our human beings to work your canes, to dig your gold, to take in gold itself, diamond, I mean fish, peanuts, palm oil, everything. In exchange for that, we have got nothing. Nothing. And you know it. Nothing. And you look upon, white folks look upon us like monkeys. It is true. It's in your literature. Hey, some of your best thinkers have said this about us. Have you heard of all these Germans? Have you heard?
Okay.
Yes. They said Lord Burton, yes. People like that. They said we don't even have the brain of animals. That's what we've got from you people.
But don't you think that this is over now?
Over where? Is it over? Who said that AIDS came from the green monkey? Is it over? Is it over?
Well, if this is your impression, do you think that you can ever forgive us?
It's not a question of forgiveness. I have nothing against you. My point is that you did and you are doing for your survival what is necessary. We can't blame you for that. The fact that we didn't do enough for our own survival and we are still not doing enough for our survival, that is not your problem. even everybody that God has created has a sense of survival. And if we don't develop it, we can't blame white people. You came here because you needed these things. You took gunpowder from the Chinese. You needed them to shoot people.
Do you consider aid as a new form of colonization?
Of course.
Why?
That's why. My people, the Akans, we have a proverb. It says that good morning, thank you is never enough to salt anybody's food forever. You cannot build your life on thank you, morning, thank you, English, thank you, God. Which is what aid makes. We are always receiving. Nobody, look, and I don't care who hears. Nobody anywhere in this world is going to send you their best of anything. Do you see? Neither the experts nor people, you give us what you can afford. Aid is the leftover, really, and it cannot be enough. Aid, you can, when, the world is, now the world is one place. So, there is nothing wrong if my house is in a crisis and you offered me something. There's nothing wrong, because there is interrelationship. But a whole nation, a whole continent cannot live forever on aid. And I think we are in Africa, we are in danger of making foreign aid a kind of policy that is wrong. I think that it humiliates our people. The people in the villages have not asked anybody to go around begging on their behalf.
Yeah, because there is a policy of the American government. It's called the Kissinger Report, which was produced in the mid-70s when Henry Kissinger was involved with the government. And it explicitly states, which to this day, it remains the official policy of the American government. It has not changed. Mm-hmm. It may not be implemented by Trump, but it remains the same. That the purpose of the foreign policy in Africa was to reduce the population. So to give aid to countries in Africa, not clean water and schooling and things like that, but contraception and abortion, in order to shrink the population of Africa, because they have great mineral resources there.
That sounds diabolical.
It is, yes.
That sounds like something conceived in the mind of Margaret Sanger.
Yeah, definitely. And so at the time, Kissinger and those involved with the Carter administration wanted to shrink the population, make sure that the Africans do not develop and do not use the resources for themselves, because we in the States, we need them. There is a concerted effort of foreign powers to control the population of Africa. Africa is a huge continent, could feed thousands of more people, but the policies of the West, especially in Europe. For example, between 1990 and the year 2000, the United States, Canada, and Europe contributed about $6 billion in contraceptives, not to help the people, not to give clean water, clean food. That is
not to fight malaria, for example.
No, of course, perish the thought, never. Yeah. Let them die. That's the whole idea. So in our work in HLI, we denounced this reality to make the Africans aware that they have to defend themselves against the influence of foreign powers.
Is it just the United States, or do you believe that China is also playing a role in jockeying for the resources of Africa?
China is playing a major role because China is buying property in Africa. Mm-hmm. For example, in Mozambique, which is a Portuguese-speaking language country, when Portugal was in charge of Mozambique, they used to export rice. Now they are importing rice from China. because they cannot produce. The socialism has wrecked the production of rice. And the Chinese come and buy farms. So about almost a third of Mozambique belongs to China. So I was in other countries of Africa, the same reality. In South Africa, the Chinese are buying property, buying land in Africa.
So
and they send their own workers, the Chinese workers. They don't employ people of the place. They send their own.
Hata hizi maski zimetolewa katika nchi fulani fulani, wamezikuta zina corona. Na kuna nchi baadhi wameanza hata question hizi testing kits ambazo zinatumika. Na ndio maana nimeona nilizungumza hili kwa vyombo vya ulinzi na usalama kwa kushirikiana na Wizara ya Afya, waanze kushughulikia hata vitu tunavyopewa kama zawadi ili visije vikatuletea madhara. Unapoletea maski ya kujikinga puani, ni lazima tujue hiyo maski aliyeitengeneza na aliyeisupply na misingi ya kutuletea, kwa sababu otherwise tunaweza tukajikuta tunaambukizwa corona kwa maski za kutoka nje. Na mimi ningewashauri wa Tanzania na viwanda vyetu na taasisi mbalimbali zianze kutengeneza maski sisi wenyewe hapa, na inawezekana hata mtu wengine, na wapongeza baadhi ya raia wengine wa Tanzania wanajishonea wenyewe. Shona maski zako, zitumie badala ya kutegemea unazouziwa na huwezi ukajua misingi ya wale waliouziuza wana lengo gani.
Apart from that, President John Paul Magufuli asked the World Bank to clear the debt, especially to African country at this time. The World Bank has offered the loan to those countries who have the problem to face this pandemic. But this loan, it means already African country we have a debt in World Bank. So if you go there and take another loan, it means we are going to increase the debt. So President John Paul Magufuli asked, if they want to help this institution, financial institution, World Bank and the IMF, if they want to help Africa, why don't they clear this debt or pardon this debt instead of arguing or offering the new loan?
What they are doing to our fellow brothers in China, that it might also affect their people here in Ghana, in Africa. I have a video that I would like to share with you guys. It's about this Chinese people. It's quite funny anyway, but sometimes, they claim Africans, they claim there are a lot of Africans living in China illegal, but they forget that they have a lot of Chinese here doing illegal business and illegal things here. And this video that I'm going to share with you guys, I just don't want to say much about the video, which I would like us to go and watch the video. But before, there's this funny thing too that happened here in Ghana with a Ghanaian police officer and a Chinese guy. We were on lockdown and he's supposed to stay indoor, and this guy came out. I don't know the reason why he came out. And this is what happened.
My house. But where did you go? You are sorry for what? You are supposed not to go out. Why did you go out? Huh? Some funa mudi wa Ghana hana mida odi ba me so be hu. On kwese sana mo to mo pam Nyam na mo ko ba coronavirus. Come on the bad.
So guys, you see, this is what happened. And the policeman, you can see how angry the policeman was at this Chinese man. And it looked like, I always say that it looked like Ghanaians, we are too friendly. And let me say Africans, we are too friendly that we hardly retaliate to people. But to me, I'd wish the policeman should have just arrested him and then taking him away. To the second story that I would like to share with you. You know, this video made me understand that there are a lot of Chinese living in Africa that came here illegal. A lot of them, I can see that they don't have correct papers. Because from the video, how can you be in a country you can't speak their language and you don't speak English, you don't speak any of their local dialects, but yet still you were able to get a driving license and also a card. So who helped you fill the form? How did you fill the form? You know, I don't know much. When it comes to China, I don't know much, but the little that I know is if your permit is expiring, you need to renew it a week or two before the expiring date. And we all know how difficult it is in China as a foreigner to acquire papers and the legal document and things, and it's not easy. So how come these people came in Africa and they were just, and I'll be so much ashamed if it is an African who helped them in order to be paid big amounts. I think it's high time we Africans have to put our continent first before ourselves, because in case someone come to you for help and you know that this thing that you are going to do for the person is illegal, never help that person. Because sometimes asking myself questions, if these people with the cards and document that they have and they didn't pass through the right channel to get them, then it means it's an African brother or someone from the country that helped them. And it's quite a shame.
We're together. The test and the driving that you never did. Okay, that's fine.
What are you going to do? Okay, wait. What are you going to do now?
Ma'am, we need to take this vehicle in and we need to check all these people's documentation if they're legal in South Africa.
Yeah. So, and we are silver guessing.
Huh? Do you still have his license?
No.
Yeah. Okay, what's going to happen now, ma'am? You say the car's on your name. Okay, we need to verify your documentation if you're all legal in South Africa. So we're going to take you to SAPS here at Langlaagte, where we're going to verify everything. Okay, you need to phone people to bring your documentation to show to us and prove to us that you're legally in South Africa. Which one? What? How did you come to South Africa? These people. Has he got a passport?
Passport. ID.
Where did he get the ID from?
I don't know.
You don't know? Yeah. But he's got a South African ID.
It's getting worse, guys.
Where did you get the ID? You know, I don't understand one thing. These people can't speak English and they can't speak any... Whoa. They can't speak English. They can't speak any of our other languages, but they're in possession of a driver's license of our country. They're in possession of documents. How did they apply for these things?
The Chinese make. They paid money.
The Chinese made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did they make it? You have a friend that. When did this gentleman came to South Africa? Ask him.
Guys, welcome back. So you saw the video. You saw what I was trying to say.
They were running to DRC for work. So now we arrested them at the border point in Zombo. They have been brought back. Talk to him.
What next after arresting these people?
Thank you so much. Right here in Chibuli CID headquarters, I am in the company of security personnel together with the RDC of Zombo district. As we all know, the government of Uganda has put very clear guidelines for self-mandatory isolation. And we've got a group of nationals from China, the Chinese nationals, who came into the country, and they started very well with self-isolation, but along the way they violated the principles of self-isolation, and they were actually intercepted at the border crossing into Congo, that is along Zombo in Goli border, and they have been brought back under the directive of His Excellency the President. And the President gave a directive that these people should be produced in the courts of law, because we have very clear policy and the laws of this country, putting into us consideration the Public Health Act, which has been subjected into all this happening into our country. And as you can see clearly, these nationals has violated the principles that have been put to keep our people safe and away from risk. So they will be produced in courts of law here in High Court, Nakawa High Court, so that the law takes its course and they are persecuted according to what will be found.
African governments are demanding answers from Beijing on the treatment of their citizens after reports of mistreatment of Africans in China caused outrage. African students and expatriates in the southern Chinese city of Guangzhou were last week subject to forced coronavirus testing, and not for any specific rules or reasons, but based on random choice of 14-day self-quarantine, regardless of recent travel history, amid heightened fears of imported infections.
I'm going to take the test. It's going to be a Q-tip. It's going to reach to your throat, so you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Okay? Can you take off your mask?
Okay. So if I want to, is it just a test, nothing more involved,
yes,
right?
Just a test.
Just a test.
However, on Saturday, a member of Kenya's parliament called for all Chinese nationals to leave Kenya with immediate effect. TV stations in Uganda and other news agencies across the continent also ran similar stories on the alleged mistreatment.
This is nothing but racism, and it has to be called as racism. Who are just victims like the rest of the world from a virus that emanated from China, where now they are practicing racism against Africans. We must speak out.
Africans are now not allowed to board buses, trains, or go to restaurants or any other public places.
I cannot enter. I cannot enter.
Nothing but they are just looking for an excuse to express their racism. That's what it is.
They didn't want me to enter the subway. I had even bought my ticket that was 4 yuan. And by the time I was going to the subway, they stopped me. And then they told me that no foreigner is allowed. And I was like, why? This is a subway. Then they say that that is the rule. Then who am I to argue with the locals? I complied.
You know, the people, the Chinese people, they call the police. This guy called the police to come and arrest me because I've taken the bus. This guy, he called the police. He called the police that I have taken the bus. Right. So now he's telling me that we should go. I don't know what the problem is. I took a bus, and they called the police for me because I'm a foreigner. I'm a black man. You see how it's so painful when somebody races against you for what you haven't done. You haven't done anything.
I didn't have a place to go. I had to sleep outside. Yes, I did sleep outside. The next day they came. I tried calling them. They were not actually responding to my call. What they told me, go to the police. I did that. After staying at the police station for a maximum of 3 good hours, they told me that we are sorry, we cannot help.
This has sparked an anger on the African continent. Nigerians mocking Chinese joggers on the streets in Nigeria amid inhuman treatment of Africans in China.
Ava, give me 2 meters, 2 meters, I beg, 2 meters. Social distance, I beg. Wanna find the cure, Look for the cure. Look for the cure. My sister tell me find the cure. Jinhua, the cure. The cure. My COVID papa. COVID-19. That's all, boy. Yes, you must burn it out.
Also in Ghana, a Ghanaian forced a Chinese to pick up baggage in a gutter after Africans living in China were humiliated. In Nigeria, a Chinese was not allowed to enter a building.
Who sent the email?
It comes from management. It is the management of MTN. They gave to security. We should not allow Chinese in the building.
It's time to openly remind Chinese authorities to take responsibility of what's happening to Africans in China. The action threatens to undermine China's diplomatic efforts in Africa. In recent years, African nations have become key diplomatic and trade partners to Beijing, with China's trade with Africa worth $208 billion in 2019, according to official figures from China's General Administration of Customs.